Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode. We are at episode 105. Thank you, Jesus. We have made it to 105 and we are continuing our series on embracing your purpose. Last week we talked about embracing your purpose. I talked about my purpose journey and how I was able to make that purpose mindset shift in my life and begin to walk in a more intentional space as far as living a fulfilling, purposeful life, doing the things that I believe I've been called to do and I was created for. And so if you haven't checked out that episode, that's episode 103, press pause and go back and check out that particular episode because there were some really good gems. I gave some suggestions on how to identify your passion and how to get started and begin to pursue your purpose. And so that's where we started. We're starting the series from. And after this episode, we will have some phenomenal women on who have so graciously shared, been willing to share their purpose journey. And I think it's so important that we're able to hear from each other and to see what that walk looks like because, it can get challenging. And it's always great to be encouraged and to see what the shift was for someone else and how they've been able to identify certain things in their lives and really begin to live a more purposeful, intentful life and move in that space consistently, right? Because consistency is key, y'all. But today, I really wanted to talk about my what I call my purpose mojo. And so, the mojo was like what gets you going, right? What keeps you moving, what keeps you functioning, what keeps you flowing, what keeps you grooving. That's like a song. What keeps you flowing, what keeps you moving, what keeps you grooving. So I've just called it, I've coined it right now, purpose mojo. Um, and I wanted to share that because I think that that's important to help prepare you to embrace your purpose and to fully walk in it. And so, what am I talking about? What is this purpose mojo? Well, for me, I think it would be foolish of me not to share this part and just to talk about, living a life full of purpose, identifying your passions, walking in those things, when we know that purpose is something that we have been called to and created to do. And so, what we believe here at Tisha Talks Topics is that all of us were created with purpose. And if we were created with purpose, that would indicate that there was a creator, right? There was someone who has created us with a purpose, with a plan in mind, someone who was intentional about our being and wanting us to show up in that space. And so, knowing that, how could we even possibly fully pursue our purpose if we have not consulted the creator, right? The person who designed us for it, our designer, our architect, our God, right? And so this is so key to this purpose journey, right? We can do the tips that I suggested to understand what you're passionate about, to understand what your giftings are, to understand, what direction you want to begin to move in. But no better person can tell us about us than the person who created us, right? And so I think it's so important that that I share this and that we talk about this because you're going to need to consult the creator of the universe, the creator of you, in order to fully move in who you have been called to be. And so what I want to do is I want to talk about that a little bit, and then I want to share like what I do intentionally daily in order to make sure that I'm connected, to make sure that I am aligned with what it is I've been called to do. Because y'all, there is so much stuff going on out here. It's so easy to get tripped up. And when I say tripped up, I mean, it's so easy to get distracted. It's so easy to get pulled away. It's so easy to veer off course because you think that you're supposed to be doing something that maybe you see someone else doing. It's so easy to do that. I remember someone telling me that we could be walking around here doing a lot of good things. There's nothing wrong with doing good things. I've gotten caught up in that, doing a lot of good things, but not doing the things that has been called and destined for me to do. And so even in me serving the community, even in me doing all of these great things, helping other people, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm walking in my purpose, right? It's just me doing a lot of great things, a lot of good things. But in order to fully align with what it is that I'm called to do, I have to spend time seeking God, seeking his face about the direction in which he's calling me to and in what particular season, right? Because our directions may shift based upon the season that we're in. And it's so important that we are intentional about that and we are aligned with that. And so um, let's get started. So some of the things that I do to connect and to make sure that I'm aligned is I have to seek God daily, y'all. I'm now every day I may miss a day, I may miss a couple of days, but it is so glaringly obvious to me when I've missed some days, like when I've veered off course. I'm unsettled, I am distracted, I am like just what's the word? Like frazzled, right? This is just for me, right? I'm frazzled. I feel like all over the place. Like I'm not really sure, like I'm grasping at straws. Should I do this? Should I do that? Well, that sounds good. That sounds good. Then I find myself going into knowledge overload. So I don't even know if it's called knowledge overload, but it's when you're just consuming so much information and it's not bad information. Y'all know there has been so many free webinars out here since this virus has hit. Everybody's been offering some type of free something. And you can find yourself completely overwhelmed with all of the information and all of the things that people are giving you, which are not necessarily bad things. They just may not be the thing for you. And how do you know if it's the thing for you? It looks good, it's packaged good, it makes sense. Oh, I could probably make money doing this. Oh, maybe I should incorporate this in what I do. Oh, that's a great idea. I didn't know that you could do that. Oh, that even exists. Let me try that. And so you can find yourself going around this hamster wheel, which I talked about in the last episode. Be sure to check it out. Going in this hamster wheel, going around and around, and you're confused and you're off course, right? You're not aligned. And so that's why it's extremely important for me that when I wake up in the morning, like as soon as I'm awake, not necessarily out the bed, but my eyes is open, I realize that it's a new day and I'm in the bed. I ask the Lord, Father, direct my steps, give me clarity, align me with who I need to be aligned with, allow this day to be productive in you, allow me to do the things that you call me to do in this day. And I really had to do that because another thing that would get me off course is that I would feel like I would be doing things and not necessarily the things that I felt I should be doing, right? And so as a mom, I'm a mother of 5 children. All 5 of them, thank the Lord, are not in the house right now, but I am still a mom. I'm a wife. And then I have other ventures that I do. But the mom and the wife alone, that's a job by itself. And so there may be times when I wasn't able to spend as much time in my business. There may be times where I wasn't able to put as much effort into things as I would like to. And what would happen to me is I begin to beat myself up. Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? You know, this one is doing this. You see that they're progressing and moving forward. You really could have used that extra time to do such and such. Here you are trying to clean and cook or fold clothes or try to, you know, go out and run errands and do the other things that we need to do in life, right? And the other responsibilities that we have. And so I really had to make sure that on a daily basis, I am checking in with God first, because what it does for me is it reminds me that in this particular season, on this particular day, this was the way that I needed to show up. This was my purpose for this given thing, and not to guilt myself because I did not give 150% to my business because I was giving 100% to my child at that time, or I was giving 100% to making my house a home, or whatever it is, or to my marriage, right? And so is so important. I have found is that has been one of my greatest challenges, trying to um, balance, purpose in its entirety. Because I think sometimes we get caught up with like purpose has to be showing up in the form of a business, or it has to be showing up in the form of a side hustle, or it has to be showing up in the form of a solopreneur activity, right? Or a profession. But purpose is it's all around you. It's in every role that you play. If you have been called to motherhood, there is a reason. You were created for that, right? If you have been called to being married and being in that relationship, there is a reason you have been called to that. And you have to honor those things as well. And you have to understand what your purpose is, what your greater focus may be in different seasons and in different times. And so I wanted to share that because the only way that you can really grasp that, like people can't tell you, I can't tell you, okay, I mean, I can help you put together a schedule and time manage, right? But you could have the schedule together, but the demands or the need for something in whatever role that you've been called to or whatever hat you're wearing that day may be greater than the schedule that you have created. And so we have to be able to be in tune, to be able to hear the voice of the Lord and to be able to move in his direction and know that as we are seeking him, he is going to keep us on the right path. And the things that we think are taking from us or subtracting from us from this maybe bigger vision or bigger goal of pursuing whatever our business is or whatever our dream is, understanding that those other works that we're doing within that, those other calls to motherhood, those other calls to being a wife, to being a friend, to being a daughter, those other calls are intricately woven into who we ultimately are going to become, are going to be, and how we're going to show up in the other avenues of our lives. And somebody, um, I saw a post. I saw a post the other day where someone said, I'm not really sure if anybody else deals with this, but when you are going through emotional changes, it seems like the focus is that you're supposed to be secure in the bag at all costs. And I'm finding it very challenging to be able to secure the bag when I'm not okay, right? When my house is not okay, when my marriage is not okay, when my children are not okay, when my family is not okay, right? And so I'm just interjecting different situations. And so that is another reason why it's super, super, super important that we are connecting with the person, the God, our God, Christ, who has created us to make sure that we're walking in the fulfillment of what it is that he has called us to do in that season. And it is a daily conversation that needs to be had, because sometimes we have our plans worked out and made up, and that is not the plan of the Lord for our day. And so many doors on this purpose journey, so many doors have opened up, not because of what I have done, but because of what he has done in me, what he has directed me, and how he has shown me to move forth in my life. So it's super important that we are making sure that we are connecting with him on a daily basis. And now another reason why I want to bring this up is because, so when you think about this from a destiny perspective, when you think about this from a place of walking in purpose, is you walking in what you have been called and created to be, that is an awesome thing. That is an awesome fulfillment of destiny, right? And so, y'all know that we have an enemy out here that does not want us to walk in the fullness of who we've been called and created to be, because we would be some bad mama jammas up in here, right? Doing some awesome and great things. Imagine if every single person walked in the fulfillment of what it was exactly that they were created for, exercising their gifts, exercising their talents, moving in spaces unapologetically, being confident about who they have been called to be. Yo, we would not be playing up in here. And so we know as a believer, which I am. So I just want to, I guess in the middle of this, put a disclaimer that I'm speaking from a Christian perspective. Um, we know that that is not the plan of the enemy for us, the devil for us. He does not want us to walk in the fulfillment of what we've been called to do. And so we are going to face greater challenges and greater battles as we begin to embrace and pursue our purpose. Because if we show up the way we've been called to and created to show up, we are going to be a problem, right? We are going to, think of the people who you just know they have manifested their destiny. You look at Oprah, you look at Tyler Perry, you look at so many just great people, Michelle Obama, Barack Obama, just so many people. I'm naming African-American people right now because that just was coming to the top of my head, but there are just people in general who are actually walking, that they are walking in destiny. You know it, you can see it. And that's how people show up. And it doesn't mean that you're going to be on the scale of Obama or on that scale, but in the sphere and in the space that you're in, you will know when someone is fulfilling what it is that they've been called to do. Have you ever been somewhere where you're just watching someone, maybe they're singing or maybe they're dancing, or maybe my sister-in-law, the spoken word, when she opens her mouth and starts dropping them lyrics, there is like this, the hairs on my body rise, and I feel ignited and I feel compelled to go do whatever it is that she's talking about, because that she is walking in the vein of what she has been called and created to do, and there's no denying it. Like when people walk in their space, you can't deny it. You can't take it from them, even if you wanted to, right? And so imagine if all of us walked in that space, we would be unstoppable. And so the enemy does not want us to fully manifest what it is that we've been called to do. And so we're going to face challenges. We're going to face challenges because we're talking about walking in our destiny. And so because we know this, it is super important that we stay connected to God, that we understand what his word has said about us, that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. We are his masterpieces, right? We have to continue to fuel ourselves with his word and with the things that are going to encourage us and allow us to push through the challenges that we may face. And so I want to talk just a little bit about how some of these challenges can manifest specifically when you are trying to walk in purpose, right? Because walking in purpose is going to make you uncomfortable. It's going to put you in new spaces that you were not previously used to, right? It's going to challenge you. There's always going to be a challenge because it's growing you and helping you evolve into the person that you've been called to be, right? And so imposter syndrome, people talk about it all the time. You you will start thinking in your mind, I can't do this. I'm not this. I'm not that person that's showing up. I'll talk about myself. Letitia, you're not this media personality, right? You're not this this podcaster. Who's gonna listen to you? What are you saying that someone needs to hear? And so the thing with imposter syndrome is that it is your present self discounting your future self, right? But we know that this purpose journey is all about taking us to where we need to go. It's our destiny, and our destiny is in the future. And so that is going to be a challenge that we're going to have. We have to start seeing ourselves as who we are called to be, even before we're walking in it. And so that's one way. That's one way. So you won't come across imposter syndrome. You have to know the word of God over your life. You have to know I am fearfully and wonderfully made. This is going to come up. I'm going to doubt myself. I'm going to feel like I'm an imposter. I'm going to feel like I'm fake because I'm still growing. I haven't fully walked in it. And that is always a challenge because you're continuously growing and evolving. So every step that you make, you're going to feel like you haven't gotten there yet because you haven't, right? But you still have to walk in it. You still have to step out and move. So another thing will be unbelief and doubt. Unbelief that this can happen. Unbelief that I can make 105 episodes. Unbelief that I could be like one of the top podcasters in the world, you know what I mean? And so just being plagued with unbelief, and what that unbelief and that doubt does is it prevents us from pressing forward. It prevents us from keeping moving towards our goals and hope and having hope. And we talked about this in the last episode, how important hope is, right? And so we need to continue to make sure that we are seeking God, asking him, like, what move do you want me to make? Is this what you've called me to do? And when you feel a peace about it, when you feel there might be even confirmations, other people may say things to you. And as doors begin to open, that you're like, why is this door opening for me? Because I only been doing this for 2 months. Why is this opportunity? Why am I networking in this space? How am I on the phone with this person talking to them? Girl, because you've been called to it and because it's a part of your destiny. And so as you are continuing to have these daily conversations with God, your confidence in that will grow. And you know that you're not walking alone. It's not just you. It's not just you. It's not just Letitia on this podcast. Please know, it's not just Letitia on this podcast right now talking to you. This is all by his grace, right? So I'm doing this in conjunction with God, in conjunction with my willingness to be obedient and move in the spaces that he's called me to move in, right? Trusting him more than I trust myself. That's the whole entire word right there. I could probably just shut it down right now. If we could trust God more than we trust ourselves, we are good to go. Because God will have us doing some crazy stuff, right? And we'll be the ones like, well, that don't look like it's really going to work. Um, that doesn't look like that's going to help me. Does not look like this experience is like not really feeling really good. And I don't think that this experience is going to help me go where I'm trying to go. So I'm just going to back away because I don't feel like dealing with this right now. And so we have to just acknowledge and begin to recognize that there are greater things. There are greater things that we have been called to, and we are the only ones that can walk in that greatness. We are the only ones that can fulfill that destiny. We are the only ones that can have that connection and that alignment and that call with the Lord. We are the only ones that can do that. And so that is something I really wanted to share with you guys as well as you are preparing to embrace this purpose, because this purpose is like, it's like gold. It's like when a light bulb comes on, it's like, wait a minute, there's something more that I'm supposed to do, And so when that light bulb comes on, it seems like all these other things come on too that want to dim your light, right? That wants to dim your hope and your joy. Other things that we face is fear of the unknown, the things that we're not certain about. And then we're going to get literal roadblocks, literal things that will come and stand in our way. And that is when it is so important that you are really, really seeking the face of God about what it is that you should do. Because the roadblocks can mean that I need you to pivot in another direction, or the roadblock can mean I just need you to stand and keep doing what you're doing, and I'm going to remove this mountain for you. And so it's really important for us to be able to align ourselves with the direction that God is calling us into. Because we know that through all of these roadblocks, through all of these challenges, God is still going to provide anyway. He's going to provide a way for us. But if we're not talking to him, how are we going to know? If we're not seeking him, how are we going to know what we need to do or how we need to show up or what our next move is? And I feel like that is where a lot of people get tripped up, is that things come, challenges come, and instead of tapping into your mojo, tapping into your secret weapon, we retreat or we back down and we say, oh, well, maybe that wasn't the way. Maybe that wasn't the plan. What I absolutely love about the conversations that will be coming up throughout the series, you will see these examples. Y'all, I promise you, you will see these examples where they have had these encounters and it has caused them. Their to go may not have, their first to go may not have always been, let me pray, let me talk to the Lord, let me figure out, let me spend some quiet time to understand and get peace about my next move. That may not have always been there to go initially, but what they did do or what they ended up doing was doing that. And so they may have experienced a lot of challenges and a lot of ups and downs, but they all directed them back to him, back to him. And so they've made some awesome accomplishments, some awesome accomplishments. And I'm so excited to share their stories with you. We have one young lady who is the owner of her own radio station. Yes, 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 multiple awards out there in the media space. We have another young lady who has her own coaching consulting business. We have another young lady who has taken a different venture in the space of YouTubing and blogging, and it's just so many awesome things. And if you guys listen back to previous episodes, I have interviewed countless women. Oh my gosh, authors, brand ambassadors, branding and marketing gurus, so many different women who have, those who sell products and started their own companies and their own businesses. And I'm just so enamored and impressed by their consistency. And I tell you, with every single one of them, they have all circled back to this mojo that I'm talking to you about, right? Understanding their creator. And so I just wanted to come on. I wanted to share that with you guys as we are entering or continuing this series on embracing our purpose. I wanted to make sure that you were fully equipped, because y'all, if you haven't started this journey, you're about to get on it now. You're about to get on it now. And so I didn't want you to just hear the conversations with the women and their ups and their downs and how they persevered and walked through. I wanted you to be able to identify these steps and these things that I'm sharing with you now, so that you can see in real life how they play out for other people. Because I'm telling you that as you are continuing on your journey of life, you're going to encounter these things. And it all really boils back down to the same thing. You really need to be reminded of whose you are and who created you and who has called you to the place and the time of life and the season of life that you're in right now. And that is what's going to pull you up, help you get through those difficult times. We have women that have gone through depression. We have so many different experiences that I haven't even touched on that they are going to share. And I just hope, my prayer, my purpose in all of this is that it completely encourages you and it inspires you and it helps equip you with the tools that you need to walk in everything that God has called you to and to do everything that you have been destined and created for. So y'all, until next time, when passion meets purpose, great things happen. Talk to you later.